I want to talk with you about privacy. And in this context, actually I want to talk about the constitutional rights that are being taken away from us that have been systematically eroded over the last, well, arguably, some would argue since the Civil War, but certainly over the last decade and a half or so, very, very aggressively. And why the Obama administration, actually I don't have an answer for the why, but the Obama administration right now is on the wrong side of this thing with regard to FISA and the wiretaps. But there's really dimensions to this that nobody else is talking about. And it's, one of the things that I try to do on this program every day, to the extent that I can, is take things always out to the larger picture. What is the bigger understanding? What is the larger issue at stake here? So I'm going to throw out a couple of things and then pull them back together for you. And hopefully all of this will make some sense. I think this is really one of the most important issues of our day because I think it speaks to the survival of our nation as a constitutionally limited representative democratic republic. A nation of laws where the government provides the baseline, the soil in which freedom, democracy, and free enterprise can flourish, and yet is not oppressive. The government is limited. We have what are called negative rights. The Constitution is a bill of what are referred to as negative rights at law. And what that means is that what the Constitution does is it says these are the things the government may not do. And it says, in the context that it says these are the things the government may do, it's narrowly limiting them to those things. So it's basically saying these are the ways that the government cannot step on you. Now, these are positions that have been taken at various times by both conservatives and liberals over the years. Frankly, I think this transcends politics and even transcends the labels conservative and liberal. And so let's just get into this. And this kind of goes back in many ways to Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin's quote that those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserved neither liberty nor safety. Let me start with Alberto Fujimori. Fujimori was the president of Peru. And the Shining Path, I was down in Peru back in, must have been 1979, I think it was. Might have been 78, 79, or 80. It was one of those 3 years. I was in Lima, Peru, on behalf of the international organization Solemn, Kinderjugend Hilfswerk Solemn out of Germany. We were looking at the possibility of setting up some sort of a program down there. I was staying at a hotel about 3 blocks from the presidential palace the week that the presidential palace was bombed by the Shining Path. And there was this terrorist group in Peru called the Shining Path. And some 70,000 people are believed to have been killed in the war between the Peruvian government, the war on terror, as it were, between the Peruvian government and the Shining Path. A little over a third of those people killed by armed forces, by the military forces. So, I mean, this was no small thing. You think we have a so-called war on terror here in the United States. This was, this is nothing here in the United States compared to what happened in Peru, particularly considering the size of Peru. And so here's the story from page 5 of today's Financial Times. Alberto Fujimori, the former president of Peru, was given a 25-year prison sentence in Lima yesterday for being found guilty on human rights charges related to killings and kidnappings carried out by a state death squad. Three-judge panel convicted him of ordering a military squad to carry out 2 massacres that killed 25 people. 15 people were killed in 1991 when this group raided a chicken barbecue in a poor part of Lima. 9 students and a professor were kidnapped, tortured, and executed after a raid on La Catuta Kentucky University, a stronghold of the Shining Path rebels in 1992. So here we have the president of what many of us thought was a democratic republic, in many ways not unlike our own, ordering death squads to put down his war on terror, or to execute his war on terror, against a group that had killed tens of thousands of people in his own country. It's interesting to note, by the way, much like on the right today, we still have the apologists for the Bush administration who did not go as far as Fujimori did. Next to the last paragraph in the story in the Financial Times, Fujimori continues to enjoy political support from those who credit him with crushing the insurgency and introducing policies that led to years of growth. In other words, he still has strong support from the hard right in Peru. And yet he was successfully prosecuted. So here now we have the Bush administration, the Obama administration, saying that when the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the EFF, filed 2 lawsuits, the most recent being Juul versus NSA. Now these were cases, both of these were cases where that had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda or terrorism directly. That is to say, the people suing, Juul and the other person who were suing on behalf of whom the lawsuits were filed by the EFF, were just customers of AT&T. And they're asserting that because of a whistleblower, because of the disclosures that were laid out by a whistleblower, that the federal government violated their rights to privacy by scooping up all their electronic communications, tracking everything they did on the internet, and listening to their phone conversations through this cozy little arrangement with AT&T. And in a motion that was filed last Friday, the Obama Justice Department asked that both of these cases be thrown out of court because to try these cases, to bring them into open court, would reveal state secrets. And they also asserted sovereign immunity. Now, sovereign immunity is you cannot sue the king because the king owns the country, right? Well, there is a doctrine of sovereign immunity in the United States, and in many areas you can't sue the government without the government's permission. But this is the first time it's ever been asserted in this way. These are violations, frankly, by the United States government of laws that we passed, privacy laws that we passed. Well, let me get into the details right after the break, but I'll tell you, this is scary stuff. And I don't want to sound like Glenn Beck here. In fact, I want to bring Glenn Beck into this, not personally, but bring into this, this guy who's going off killing people. Here you've got the people on the right freaking out about it. I think we all need to be concerned, but in a different way.